Good morning. Good morning. I hope everybody is well. People still coming in. So welcome. As I mentioned, we're going to be using 2 blocks. We're going to be using a strap, and we're going to be using a blanket, a pillow if you have it, or 3 blocks. So we're going to be playing and building on what we've been learning. But if you haven't been here, if this is your first class, no problems. And we're going to be building towards hugging the midline. So I figured this is a good time to practice our hugging so that we don't lose that skill of hugging. And really hugging into the midline means pulling it all in. So I always think of it as if the midline is your spine and you're hugging in, you're almost hugging into the spine, lengthening the spine. Not anatomically actually what's happening, but this idea, this energetic idea to hug in. So that's what we'll be doing. So let's settle in. Take a pause here. Turn off your phones. Have your blanket and your 2 blocks and a pillow and your strap. And just take a moment here to find a comfortable position for you. Maybe it's crisscross applesauce. Maybe it's half lotus, Ardha Padmasana. Maybe it's full lotus, Padmasana. You've got to be careful of these poses to know that your body's ready for them. And then Sukhasana is just an easy cross-legged pose. So decide which pose you want to be in, and then look at which leg you've put in front and see if you can turn it around here and put the other leg in front. So we always want to be building that balance. And then as we're sitting up, a lot of times we lean forward. We're ready to attack the day or attack the problem. So as we settle in today, lean back a little bit. Find yourself perpendicular to the floor. Imagine that your head is sitting right on top with the back of the head sitting right over that lower back. You can turn your palms up or your palms down. Some people like to bring the index and thumb together, Yana Mudra, just recycling that knowledge, bringing it in. And we'll gently close our eyes, turning on that inner gaze. And as always, as you know, making time for ourselves is often the most challenging part of self-care. Just making the time, holding the time, carving out that time. And that means turning off any Facebook or turning off any emails or texts, just really disciplining yourself to come to the moment, to be here right now, completely here and now. If we can soak ourselves in this 1 hour of full nurturing self-care, we're going to have a lot more energy, a lot more open-heartedness, a lot more joy as we go back to those emails and texts afterwards. So let's really settle in. And as we've talked about, the easiest way to get present is to just turn on those antennas. Listen to the sounds of the house. Maybe people walking around outside the room you're in. Maybe you can hear stuff outside. Just letting the world happen around you. And just welcome yourself here to this 1 hour. How are you presenting today? How is the breath riding? Put on your scientist hat. No judgments at all. No need to control or fix it. Just observe the way the breath is riding. Does it feel choppy? Does it feel smooth? deep today, or does it feel more shallow? Where does it go? Where does it not go? We're not changing it. We're not fixing it. We're just watching it. Your life force. Start to now mold it a little bit. Take a little bit longer of an inhale, just a little bit longer. And then a longer exhale. If you're feeling a little bit nervous or a little anxiousness, open your mouth and sigh the exhale. If you're feeling pretty calm, go ahead and activate that ujjayi breath, that breathing in and out of the nose with that ocean sound. We don't do yoga. We use yoga. And in order for us to use it, to benefit from it, we have to know where we start. So for the next 8 to 10 breaths, as you're stretching out those inhales and you're stretching out those exhales, as your posture is sitting up nice and tall, just check in and see how you're showing up today. Physically, how are you feeling? But also mentally, what's on your mind, emotionally, what's on your heart. We're not getting caught in those stories. We're not telling ourselves any narratives. We're just witnessing, like clouds passing on the sky. How are you? What are you bringing to your mat today? What do you need to work through? So I'm going to be quiet here for 8 to 10 breaths or so. That's about a minute. Start to ask yourself what is on your mind, on your heart, on your body, and what would be the balancing for you? What would the mantra be today to bring you back to right alignment? Here we go, settling in. On these next couple of breaths, simmer down that mantra, that sankalpa, that 1 or 2 word phrase. A phrase that you can repeat to yourself if you find yourself getting challenged or distracted. Why are you here? Why do you roll out your yoga mat? How can you be served? And when you feel that you have your intention, there's no rush at all, bring your hands into prayer. Thumbs against the heart. Gently open your eyes, see your fingertips. Remember the promise that you're making. And then gently lift your eyes. Smile. Okay, welcome. So welcome, welcome. So as I said, we're going to be practicing on this hugging in. So let's start to play with that a little bit. Take your left arm forward, bend the elbow, and take your right hand on the inside of that elbow and push into that hand. So we've got the hand pushing into the elbow. Feel how strong this conversation is between the hand and the inner elbow. Now keep this pushing in sensation, but also imagine that you're pushing out at the same time. So we're turning on both sides of the arm here. Okay? And release, switching arms. Take your right arm up, other hand pushing into the inner elbow. Feel that turn on. Really pushing elbow into hand, hand into elbow. Keep that. And then press into the outer elbow too, but the arm hasn't moved. So you're turning on, right? You're turning yourself on. Beautiful. Okay, that's happening all the time. Let's take our hands to the ribs. Finger those ribs, get the fingers inside those ribs as much as you can so you really feel your muscles here. Take a big inhale into the ribs, into the hands. Those ribs are spreading out, and then exhale. Imagine that you're corseting your waist, almost like your fingers are pulling together. We'll do this 4 more times. Inhale, spread those ribs. Exhale, lengthen the spine and corset the waist. 3 more. This beautiful life force. Exhale. Hugging in, giving yourself a big old squish. Inhale. Fill up front body, back body, left body, right body. And give yourself a big old hug. Last one, big inhale. And exhale. Really nice. That's happening all the time too. Inhale, both arms come up. Find the sits bones, the bones you're sitting on. Keep them very rooted. Drop your left arm and reach. Reach out, really spreading. Now, here we are. We've got our left hand on the floor. We're reaching, palm facing down on that right hand. Challenge yourself here to play. Bring your right shoulder down towards the hip, but then pull the rib cage, the right rib cage, away from the pelvis. Let's do that again, okay? The right shoulder pulls down towards the hip, but the ribs pull away from the pelvis. So in other words, you're trying to create space between the ribs and the pelvis, but the shoulder blade is still plugged in, still connected. You got that hugging sensation. 2 more big breaths. Really nice. Big inhale. Move those right ribs away from the pelvis as the shoulder keeps relaxing away from the ear. Very nice. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Tap, tap. Clap those hands just because that's fun. And then let those arms float down, float down, float down. And we'll just turn our head side to side to side. So we're doing Hatha Yoga, moon and sun. And basically, we're just balancing. We're balancing that alignment, physical, mental, and emotional. Here we go. Second side, arms up, reach up, reach up, reach up. Exhale, right arm comes down this time on a block or the floor and reach out. So you could probably feel that shoulder blade moving to the ear and you're really overextending. Let's take a little integrity here though. Let's drop the left shoulder away from the ear. Imagine that that shoulder blade is moving towards the hip, but then spreading the ribs away from the hip. So there is a connection here as the shoulder blade is moving away from the ear, but you're still getting lots of space between the ribs and the pelvis, the top of that pelvis. Very subtle, but very, very deep. Feels so good. Let yourself soak in all the good feelings here. Sometimes we notice all the pinching and all the ouchies and all that, but see if you can notice those flowers, not the weeds, right? Grow those flowers, not the weeds. Beautiful. One more deep breath. Feels so nice. And inhale, come on up and tap, tap, just because it's fun. And floating those arms down and release. Sitting up nice and tall. We're going to turn over towards the left knee here. Frame that front leg, anchor both sits bones down again, and now just start to do a little bit of tilt where our heart is aiming for the left knee. I'm not talking about twisting to the wall behind you. We're going straight over that thigh, just checking in on that flank. Breathing deeply. Now talking about opposites, as you're here moving the heart towards that left knee, can you pull the floor toward you with your hands? Pull the floor towards you with your hands and find that extension of the spine, long spine. How much breath can you put in that backside? One more. And beautiful. Come on up. Just pause for a moment. How did that feel? Turn your head side to side. And we will switch a ruby. Here we go. Turning to the right. Big inhale. Exhale. Start to walk your heart towards that right knee now. Again, pull the floor towards you. Let that pulling of the floor get more and more length. You could almost call it a back bend here as you're lifting the heart up and as you're coming down over that right thigh. Your left sits bone is still very anchored to the floor. You're very squared through the pelvis. You're just bringing the attention to the back body here, and you're bringing attention to the breath. Remember, the entire reason we have these yoga poses is so that that breath can be free, because when your breath is free, you are free, right? Moksha, liberation. So we want to keep that breath free and flowing, calm and sweet. One more deep breath. All righty, and inhale, come on up, come on up, come on up. All right, we're going to take our time. We're going to roll our legs out. Just give yourself a little bit of a break there with the knees. And I have my blanket already in the middle of my mat for my knees in just a moment. So if you want to set that up, go ahead. And we're going to turn on our core. Okay, so we're going to slide on the mat and lie down here. So today we're focusing on hugging the midline, hugging the midline. So it's going to help us in all of our poses. So taking your legs out nice and wide, almost as wide as the mat, sliding your hands underneath your head, bring those fingers together. They're interlaced underneath your head. You're squeezing those fingers together, but you're spreading those elbows apart. Again, opposites, always opposites happening at the same time. Bring your attention to the area between the pubic bone and the navel. Imagine you're wearing a pair of jeans and you're zipping that up nice and strong. Pick up your head and shoulders, heavy, heavy head. Lift your left leg, cross it over, tap it on the toe, opposite toes. 1, 2, and come down. Let everything relax. How's your breathing? Here we go. Pick it up again. Take the opposite leg up, tap, tap, and down. 8 more, please. Squeezing, leg crossing over. It's not an easy movement. You really have to go against the current. And up, squeezing, tap, tap. Let's go 4 more. If you feel like you're pretty advanced, smile. Okay, here we go. 3, Nice and easy. Self-care, 2 and 1. Good. And come down, head to the floor. We're going to take our knees to bend, our feet on the floor. Make any adjustments you need to. We did a little bit of this on Monday. Bring your legs up into happy baby pose. Okay, so we have happy baby pose. We're going to close our legs just a tiny bit, and we're going to reach, we're going to bring the palms to touch, and we're going to reach the fingertips to the sky, but we're going to keep the shoulder plugged in. Big inhale. Exhale, peel the head and shoulders up, each between your legs. 1, 2, and down. Okay, 9 more. Come up, reach between the legs. 1, 2, and down. Now keep going with this action, but imagine, just like we did at the beginning of our class when we had the hand on those elbows, imagine that your knees are squeezing a block. Keep going, but imagine something is between your knees and you're squeezing those knees in. Nice and easy. 4. If your head and neck are very tense today, you could always leave the head on the floor and just work that those shoulders like I'm demonstrating now. Just keep that head on the floor. 2 more. All right, here comes our big ol' whammy. Ready? Come on up. Bring those elbows inside the knees. Squeeze the knees into the elbows. Squeeze the elbows into the knees. Really turn it on. Really squeezing, not hyperextending in the elbow. There's a soft little bend here. Go ahead and put your head on the floor. Turn the palms to face the ceiling, and you're really dynamically trying to spread those legs apart, but you're squeezing those elbows into. We'll take 5 big breaths here. Turn on, hug in. Have that conversation with the knees and the elbows. The elbows are trying to push those knees apart. The knees say nope, and they're pushing in as well. 3. Relax the back. Keep smiling. 2. Strong, powerful body. 1 more. And exhale, release, bringing your knees together and just rock side to side. That's the work, okay? That's what we're going to be playing with today, this hugging in. All right, if you can, roll yourself up. And we're going to come and roll ourselves over into hands and knees. Our knees are on this little cushy blanket. We're going to spread our fingers apart, equal space between each and every finger, including the thumb, pressing through the thumb side of the hand. Okay, here we go. Tabletop. Hug that belly lock in. Take your left leg extended out behind you. Keep the knee pointing down. Flat back here. Nice flat back. Bring your knee to elbow and then push. And then do it again. Elbow to knee and push. How does the breath move? Hug it in. Push it out. 2 more. Hug it in. And push it out. Now this time you're going to take this left knee and you're going to dip it behind the right knee and then push it out. So crossing over, tap, and push it out. Energetically, you're feeling the difference between pulling it in and how different it is than pushing it out. 2 more. We're moving stuck energy. Okay, and back to hands and knees and wiggle it out. I think of these sorts of movements like you're stirring soup. If you're cooking soup and you don't stir it for a couple of hours, you know how it gets really charred at the bottom? These movements, the movements we're doing now, this is how we stir it up. Take the opposite leg up. We're on the right leg now. Flat back, belly lock in, pull it in. 5, and then push it out. Very different energy. Pulling it in and out. 2, Okay, that's the last one. Keep it up. Now we're going to dip behind the other knee and dip and push. How's the breath, body? Is it free? 2. Last one now. And back to tabletop. Curl your toes under, fire up those hands, and take yourself up to home base, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Home base. Some of us can feel the chatter of the mind, wanting to be distracted right now, wanting to jump away from the moment. We have a tendency to jump into the future or jump into the past, but to be in the moment is to be in those antennas. Feel the mat underneath your hands. Taste the taste in your mouth. Feel the air on your skin. Listen to the sounds of the room or your breath. One more deep breath. And exhale. Start to walk yourself forward. We no longer need that blanket. So you can move the blanket out of the way and slowly, slowly, slowly come on up. Okay, come on up to mountain pose. Beautiful. Hands into prayer, and we'll pause here. Good. Start to find mountain having feet hip distance apart. We're going to come up into a releve, coming up on our tiptoes, and then we're going to exhale and just do a little bit of a dip, just a tiny bit. Come up on our tiptoes and then a little bit of heels down. Sit down, just warming up those knees. Up we go, and little chair. 2 more. Up we go, and chair. Last one. Up we go. And we'll hold here. Nice Utkatasana. We've got the knees right over the ankles. We can see our toes. We're not overextending here. We've got those knees right over the ankles, and we'll stay for 3 more deep breaths. Squeeze those knees together. Imagine there's a block in there. Squeeze those hands together, but then breathe deeply. Smile, softness. 1 more deep breath. And inhale, come on up. Okay, second round, add 2 more rounds. Here we go. Hands in prayer, Anjali Mudra. Sit down into chair. Some of you will be able to do one-legged chair. You'll take your left leg up, maybe even cross it here, ankle on knee. You're hugging in, you're hugging in. This isn't accessible to you. Just stay in the chair. 1 more deep breath. Good. Both feet down, chair, and up we go. And let those arms wash it away. Second round, last round, third round. Here we go. Back to chair. You're going to hold in chair for this final round, or you're going to shift and take the right leg up this time. Hug in and spread out. The ribs are spreading out, but you're squeezing in. 3. And 2. Feeling so supported by that floor. And back to chair. Keep that leg bent and push it up and release. Elbows to the ribs, palms up. Just receive the work here. Check in on that breathing body again. I'm going to do a whole class on breath work, so watch for it. But for now, just keep that inhale and that exhale being nice and even. Okay. All right, let's play a little bit further now. Maybe you'll jump the feet apart, turning your left toes out. We talked about how there's space between the rib and the pelvis, but not overly expressing through the shoulder blades. So we're going to play in triangle with that. Heel to arch align. We talk about pulling those feet together. That's hugging through the midline. Pull the feet together, but imagine that your thighs are spreading apart. Arms open nice and wide. If you feel like you need a block, bend that knee and reach for it. Okay, so we want to keep our integrity as we get the props. I rarely use props in triangle pose because I think sometimes it forces people to think they have to go to the floor, and that's really not what it's about. So you decide always. You're the teacher for yourself. Honoring that inner voice. Okay, here we go. We're going to slide that left leg back. We're going to take the hand down wherever is comfortable, and then we're going to notice this right side. So moving the right shoulder away from the ear, moving the right shoulder away from the ear. So there's a lot of beautiful space between the ear and the shoulder. Now then take your right arm up and move the ribs away from the pelvis. Start to let that right arm drip here. So now you're not doing a full triangle, you're almost doing like a weeping willow with the torso. You're trying to move the rib cage away from the top pelvic rim at the same time as that shoulder is in integrity and it's moving away from the ear. So play with that. I'm doing it one way where I'm losing that alignment and then I'm pulling that alignment in. It's really moving. When you feel like you have it, go ahead and stack wrist on wrist. Anything you want to do here, just feeling that space. You're feeling the space and you're filling it with breath. Feel the space and then fill with breath. 2 more. Beautiful. And on that left knee, come on up. Wow. And close that hip and we'll open the second side. Okay, switcheroo. Here we go. Arms open nice and wide. Find that little hinge. Remember, you're pulling the feet together, but you're spreading those thighs apart. And we're taking ourselves over here again. Trying to find that space between the ribs and the waist. Start to take that arm up and over. Let it relax here. Plug the shoulder towards the hip and then moving that space. So you probably have noticed there's so many different ways to do the poses and every teacher's cueing in different ways. There's so many ways to approach it. So it's not like this is the right way. This is just what we're focusing on today. There's hundreds, maybe thousands of ways to teach the poses. Depends upon what the lesson is. And the lesson for us in this one is how much space can I get between the ribs and the pelvis without losing my shoulder alignment? We're practicing doing 2 things at once. Let that head go. Find the weeping willow here. Keep plugging that shoulder away from the spine, but trying to move your rib cage away from the pelvis. I don't know how else to describe it except yummy. It feels so yummy. 2 more deep breaths, finding whatever triangle pose feels best to you. And softly bend that right leg and come on up. 2 more deep breaths. Beautiful. Start to walk those heel toes in, bringing your legs back to your neutral line, and we'll just receive. Stir it up. Stir up that soup. Okay, let's play a little bit more. Take your blocks. We're going to use 2. Right at the front of your mat. And we're going to try to play with balancing, okay? So taking your right leg forward and the opposite leg back, okay? We're going to take our hands to the blocks, and so we're in a lunge. Our wrists are right underneath our shoulders. So again, if you've been playing with this Keep the Light On series, we're building to this moment here. If you haven't been doing them regularly, that's not a big deal, but I'd like you to play with the different awarenesses that you're getting in each class, moving into that next level. So here we are, we have our wrists right underneath our shoulders. Challenge yourself now to find the conversation between your right foot and your left hand. So taking up your right hand, taking it off the block, and now you're just balancing on the left hand, the right leg forward, and the left leg back. So 3 points here. Can you spread out the energy? Can all of them, all those 3 points, find equal balance here? Just challenge yourself to do that. You got about 3 or 4 more breaths to play with this idea that you're using the feet and this left hand to take the weight of your body. Let's see what happens, okay? Bring your left hand forward and start to lift this back leg. So now you're in a balancing pose where you're standing on that right leg. Can you find the balance between the right foot and the left hand? You can do whatever you want with that top leg. Finding that balance. 2 more big breaths. Good. And putting that leg down. Okay. Reverse moon. Okay. Reverse moon. Parivriti Ardha Chandrasana. So revolving half moon. Just playing with this. If this level doesn't work for you today, then you're going to just practice moving the balance there between the front leg and that hand. Here we go. Revolving moon. So you're going to take your leg up. Your left leg is in the air. It's on that side of the mat. You're not crossing it over. You're finding the balance between the hand and that top foot. And you're going to challenge yourself to turn your heart away from that hand on the block. Some of you might even take your arm up, or you could turn it around you. How's that feeling? Now you're doing this, but you're also pushing the wall behind you with your foot and touching the wall in front of you with the crown of your head. So it's a balancing pose all sides. 2 more deep breaths. Hug it in, hug it in, hug it in. And beautiful. Both hands to the block, bringing both feet to the floor, and just pause. Switcheroo. Here we go. Taking your opposite leg back, we're going to take the right leg back this time. We're going to take the right hand to the block, and we're going to challenge ourselves to find that equal balance between both feet that are on the mat in our lunge and the right hand on the block. Can you feel that spreading? For those of you who are working in a little bit more intermediate advanced level, you're also picking your belly off the mat. The energy is not only pushing into the mat, but you're also floating to the sky at the same time. Opposites, hatha, moving energies in opposite ways all the time. Right alignment, calibrating. Here we go. Let's challenge ourselves to take that back leg up. So now we're balancing between the right hand and the left foot. Can we find that equal balance? Let that top leg do whatever it wants here. I'm bending my knee, just letting it hang as I play with this alignment. Nice and powerful here. Double checking that your hand is right underneath the shoulder. Challenge yourself to turn your belly away now. So Parivriti Ardha Chandrasana, you're revolving half moon. Some of you will stack your wrists. You got this. Keep pushing head to front wall, foot to back wall, and balancing all those energies. 2 more deep breaths. Stir that soup, twist it, let that stress go. Exhale that stress, let it go. 1 more. And gently close it up into your forward fold. From here in Uttanasana, forward fold, interlace your fingers behind your back, Yoga Mudra, reaching to the ceiling, dropping the head. You could even nod your head. Yes, I'm letting go of tension. Two more deep breaths. And exhale, releasing the hands to the floor. Step back into downward facing dog. If you want to pedal out your legs, pedal it out. We're going to slow things down now. Take your time here. And when you're ready, go ahead and bring your knees down. And we're going to come to sit down on our bottom with a strap. Hi, come on down. Big stuff. Okay, so let's continue playing with that. Janu Shirshasana, we're going to take our right heel into the groin and our left leg extends out. Okay, we're going to take our strap in a little bit of a loop here around that left leg. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall, we're going to do just a very quick one here. We're not going to be here very long. Turning your belly, your heart towards that left straight leg. Just tip it over a little bit and we'll spend 5 breaths. If you wanted to grab your feet and you can reach, feel free to do so. Two more deep breaths. And beautiful. Come on back up. Come on back up. All right, keeping that left leg up. Start to bend that your right knee. Bend your right knee. Okay, so we still have the same position. We still have that straight leg out, but now we've bent the knee. We're going to take our opposite hand, our left hand, and hold that right ankle. Okay, taking your right arm on the inside of the knee, just like we did when we were in Happy Baby. Feel that pushing and pulling. So we've got the right elbow and the right knee having a little bit of a conversation. Our heel is right next to that sits bone. So we're not taking it across anymore. We're standing it up nice and tall. feeling that conversation. Now take your right hand and grab the strap around that left foot and start to walk yourself down. So we have this very hugging sensation on this left side. Some of you can grab the toe. In a previous class, we talked about hugging the heel to the sits bone and the kneecap floating to the ceiling. Can you feel that? Can you feel that you're trying to pull that right heel to the sits bone as you're trying to lengthen that shin bone to the sky? 2 more deep breaths. Pretty dynamic conversation going here between that elbow and knee. 1 more. Beautiful. And float yourself back up and let both legs do whatever the heck they want. I love the word discipline because it means disciple, a student to. A student too. So to discipline ourselves to stay in the moment, or to discipline ourselves to stay with the pose, or to find the integrity, is just practicing being a student to the lesson. Sometimes we think of discipline as like, nya, 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 but no, it's coming as a student. All right, switcheroo. We're going to take the left leg bent, which means the opposite leg is forward. Taking the strap around now and sitting up nice and tall, finding that little angle where the belly lock and the heart are now reaching over that right straight leg. Start to lean forward. Again, maybe you don't need the strap. Maybe you can grab the toes. And here's that opposite again. We want to keep the sits bones on the ground, but we want to be turning our heart towards the toenails. Really opening up that space between the ribs and the top of the pelvis. Use your breath to stir up. Create those big open windows here. Beautiful. When you're ready to come up, come all the way up, up, up. We're going to stand up that left leg now. Again, lining up the sits bone with the heel. Imagine you're trying to pull that heel towards the sits bone, but that kneecap is floating to the ceiling. We're going to take our left arm and hug inside that knee again. Have that conversation between the elbow and the knee. Neither one is winning. Double check again. You're not taking the foot across. It's standing right up, right up. Some of you can grab that strap here. Some of you can grab your toes. And for 8 breaths, we're just going to have that conversation between hugging that elbow or shoulder, if that's where you are, and hugging back, and breathing and smiling and having fun and all that other stuff too. It's like better than a TV show. When you get into this really deep, subtle work, so many little subtleties, so much little detail, just massaging yourself back in place, putting you back into that right alignment. One more deep breath. And then gently come on out and let your legs do whatever they want. Okay. Taking your 3 blocks or your blocks in a pillow, you're going to take the blocks together like this. We're going to move into fish pose. And sometimes it's nice to have a block, but watch here for a moment. I'm going to show it to you this way. I'm going to start with my arm over. You can't see that. Let me do it this way. I'm going to start on the far side here with my head on the pillow so that when I open here, both shoulders are on the block. So I'm starting a little bit on one side, okay? So come with me here. You've got, I don't mean fish pose yet. I'm sorry, we're twisting. Sorry for the confusion. It's like a setup for fish. Take your right side, right ribs to the blocks, and you have a pillow or not. You could have that extension here as we've been working. You're going to take that left arm up and then exhale. Start to turn yourself to where your heart looks to the ceiling. So this is Jatara Parivartanasana. Inhale, reach that arm up again, and exhale, surrender. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, relax it open. Last one, reach it up. And then exhale, open it up. So your chest is looking towards the ceiling. And your knees are on the side. Breathe. Just a little bit of a twist here to breathe. Going back to billowing out the torso on the inhale and hugging yourself on the exhale. 2 more big breaths. So nice. All right, keep your shoulders on those blocks. Bring your knees up. Here's the fish pose. We're just going to hold here for a moment. Our feet are on the floor. Our knees are bent. Our head is on our pillow. Our arms are wide. And just receive. Can you receive the poses? So very different than doing the poses. Just receive them. 2 more breaths. All right, we're going to switch sides now. Roll to the other side. Most of you are rolling to your left. You decide. Come to the edge of the blocks again. Hug your knees into a 90-degree angle. Reach that right arm up and twisting open. Both shoulders hit those blocks. And then we'll do that 4 more times. Reach up and floating yourself open. And up. Stir up that energy and open. And up. And 4. And last one, reach it up. And finding yourself in a very relaxed state as you receive. Just getting out of your own way, getting out of that mind chatter. Watch the breath. One more deep breath. Returning to fish, bring those knees up. Keep your shoulders on those blocks. Walk the feet wide and lean those knees in towards each other. And we'll just hold here. Take your time. About 2 more deep breaths. And now rolling off to either side, we're going to find our Shavasana. If you wanted to find a happy baby before you go into Shavasana, wiggle it out. Anything you want to do here as you settle in to our final resting posture. So studies have shown that being flat is not necessarily relaxing. So I do recommend that you have some sort of curve on your body, either blocks underneath your knees or under your head. You could use the blanket. I really like to put my blanket over my pelvis, helps sort of ground me down here. Just find something that feels really nice for you. Take your time. As you start to settle in. Comfortable, relaxed posture. All right. Letting your body spread out. Heavy head, heavy arms, heavy legs. Relaxing the muscles around the forehead, relaxing the muscles around the eyes, the cheeks, the tongue. Relaxing the muscles around the scalp, almost like a very loving, warm oil is just circling the head, just relaxing anything in its path, any tightness or stiffness. It's getting heavier and heavier into the mat. Your left heel is equal to the weight of the right heel. Left hip, right hip, left shoulder, left wrist, right wrist, and then 10 to 12 pound head, just so heavy. Let's take 3 big exhales together. Breathe in through the nose, open your mouth and just sigh. As long as you can, let it go. Inhale into the nose. Push it out as long as you can. Exhale. Final one. Inhale. And exhale. I'll watch the time. Let yourself relax here. Letting go. Letting go. Letting go and enjoy. And gently, if you feel that resting in Shavasana is the best way to serve yourself, then please stay where you are. Stay where you are and keep soaking. If you feel ready to come out, please start to wiggle your fingers and toes, maybe rolling your head side to side, moving in any way that's comfortable for you. Take your time and come to an easy, comfortable cross-legged position, sitting up nice and tall with that long and proud and healthy spine. Well done. Let's bring our hands into prayer, thumbs against the heart. And just check and see what shifts have occurred for you, physical shifts, mental, emotional. How did the practice serve you today? What are you noticing? And as always, may we sit in a spirit of gratitude, not just when things are easy, not just when things are going our way, but also when things are really hard, when things are really confusing or humbling or scary or frustrating. Can we be grateful for these scratchier lessons too? They show us who we are. And who are you? Who are you right now? Thank you so much for coming. As always, the good in me bows to the good in each and every single one of you. We are one. Namaste. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. If you want to stay in chat, stay in chat. If you want to rest in Shavasana, do it. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Bye, guys.